Alright guys, so here we are in the tail end of a heat wave. It's 8 million degrees outside and you own a farm. What do? Well, you stay inside and you pickle some eggs. So my loving wife and I, we pickled probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 million quail eggs. And I don't know exactly how many's here, but we've already sliced the peppers and the onions. I'm going to try and make two kinds of eggs. These will be a Cajun and a standard pickle. 16-ounce jars. So the way the math works out is each jar will hold 1.5 dozen eggs and vegetables. With that 1.5 dozen eggs and vegetables, then I have to make 8 ounces of brine per jar. So I'm going to start loading these in this jar. So there's 3 levels of 6, and in between each level I throw a couple of peppers and a few slices of onion. Like so. So at 6 eggs per row, 3 rows deep, that's 1.5 dozen, and we get right up to the top of the jar. So you want to be able to make sure your brine covers all the eggs, and you fill that all the way up, but you also don't want a lot of air in there. So I'm going to finish getting the rest of these jars done up, and we'll cut back and show you how I start making my brine. So we've got enough vegetables, excuse me, to do 8 jars. I'll take the last of these, I'll cut them up, and we'll put those, mix those in the brine. I want these to be cut up fairly small. So that all that can mix in with the eggs good. Alright, there's the peppers. Now let's do the onions. I know some folk will actually saute this before they put it in their pickled eggs, but I like to boil it in the brine to help add that bold spice flavor to that brine. Set all these right there. I'll start getting the brine ready for all of our eggs. Alright guys, so we're getting ready to make our brine. We've got 8 jars of eggs, and I said earlier that it's 1 cup of vinegar per jar when you're doing 18 eggs in your jar. One thing important you got to know, make sure your vinegar is 5% acidic. So all vinegars will tell you. Mine tells you right there. So we need 8 cups of vinegar. Now one thing you'll notice a lot of people do is they'll put water in their vinegar. I don't do that. I've found that if you put water in your vinegar, that defeats the purpose of it being 5% acidic. Alright. Now you will get a little bit of boil off, so it is okay to go just a skosh over your 8 cups. That'll be fine. So this orange stuff, so you want, call it 2 tablespoons of your favorite crab boil per jar of eggs that you're pickling. I can't talk tonight. Then what we have here is minced garlic. And I like to do 1 tablespoon per jar. So we got 8 jars, that'll be 8 tablespoons. So that's 8 right there. This is sliced garlic, and we do that for, I throw some of those in there just for the appearance. They kind of give the brine a little bit of texture. Dump in your veggies that you just got done slicing and dicing and chopping and mincing and doing bad stuff too. Now, pickling salt, 1 tablespoon per jar. Or, sorry, 1 tablespoon of pickling salt per cup of brine. You can also use pink Himalayan salt for this, but I think that's 7. There's 8. Now we're going to get that boiling and we'll come back to you shortly. Okay, so an important side note I forgot to mention. The eggs were cold, which makes the jar cold. You want to preheat your jar before you pour the boiling brine into it so you don't bust your jars. I almost forgot to mention that. And perfect. So I'm gonna turn this up on high. This is an electric canner. It's for hot bathing, it doesn't do pressure. Turn this up on high so it can warm these jars up before I pour the brine in it. On the other hand, the brine, let's take a look at how this is doing. Excuse the camera wobble. Oh my. So I brought it to a hard boil and then I backed the heat off. Look at that. You guys probably can't see it very good because of the steam. Let me lean you in there. Look at that there. Oh yeah, that's going to be good stuff. So, I'm going to let these jars heat up. Get these jars heated back up. Get that started pouring into the jar. We'll show you that process. Hang with us. Alright, so our jars are starting to warm up. The brine is done. It's boiled real good, real hard. Simmered for a little bit. So I got my canning funnel to keep me from making a big mess and my wife hating me. You always want to stir as you're getting your scoop of stuff out so you get an even mix. Looks like we need just a tiny bit more. Then you take a towel, paper towel, something, and you go around the top of this rim to dry it off so you can get a good seal in your canner. Now these eggs will float a little bit. Once you get them in the canner and they seal, they'll sink. Stir, stir, stir. And you want to be careful you don't overfill your jar. So see how that egg floated? They'll all float a little bit, but they'll settle once they cool off and set in this brine for a little while. Ideally, after you can these, after you get them sealed and you fill them with brine and everything's golden, you want to let these set for at least 2 weeks without opening. Don't touch them, just leave them set. Some people refrigerate, some people don't. From everything I've read and seen, if you're at least 5% acidic, there's no need to refrigerate, but do what's comfortable for you. That's pretty good right there. Okay, so that's 4 jars. 4 jars. That's what they'll look like. I'm going to get the rest of these in the canner and we'll show you the finished product. Like, share, subscribe, and we appreciate you. Alright gang, so last jar. Look how full it is. No brine left. 1.5 eggs is almost perfect. And this camera doesn't want to focus worth a hoot. That's better. 1.5 eggs per jar. 8 ounces of brine. 8 ounces of vinegar. Perfect.